statement.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, in the United States of America, the government should not spy on its citizens, plain and simple. In the limited cases when surveillance on Americans is necessary to prosecute crimes or prevent acts of terror, there should be a high burden, a very high burden for the government in getting approval to do so. What came out of the Church Committee's investigation into the FBI's rogue actions in the middle of the 20th century provided a roadmap for righting the wrongs of domestic surveillance. An entire apparatus of checks and balances was set up to hold government accountable when it sought to invade the privacy of its citizens. But this process, again, is now in need of reform. The laws and guidelines governing surveillance are opaque, antiquated, and easily skirted. Our system of warrants, subpoenas, national security letters, secret courts, and other tools at the government's disposal must be brought in line with constitutional considerations of basic due process. We've tried to make progress in recent years, but we have much work left to do. For instance, the USA Freedom Act made significant improvements to the Patriot Act to safeguard civil liberties, but many deficiencies remain, like the simple fact that the Obama FBI spied on President Trump's campaign, used a dossier that they knew to be false at the time to be able to surveil the activities of Carter Page. Further improvements, or quite frankly, a complete overhaul of FISA is something this committee should again take up. More recently, Tucker Carlson stated on his show the other night his belief that the NSA was monitoring his communications. While the NSA said in a carefully worded statement, and I would encourage all of you to read that Mr. Carlson was not the target, not a target, they didn't deny that they had reviewed his communications. Additionally, reforms to the Electronic Communications Privacy Act, or ECPA, passed the House in 2 recent Congresses, only to stall in the United States Senate. As most of our colleagues know, ECPA is the cornerstone law governing Americans' privacy with respect to email and other electronic data. The problem is that this law was written in 1986 and did not contemplate, not even close to contemplate, all the facets of our digital age today. The result has been a patchwork system of demands from law enforcement to technology companies in a constitutionally dubious fashion. Courts are split, for instance, on how to interpret parts of ECPA, and this uncertainty allows for data to be swept up by law enforcement agencies without warrants. Another area where we can work together is on protecting the public's right to know. An informed public is critical to a well-functioning democracy. When the Department of Justice prosecutes journalists or implements a gag order so that people cannot speak out about the government's actions, our democratic values are undermined. There are bipartisan bills that would protect journalist sources. This legislation was originally authored by Vice President Pence when he was a member of the House. We should revisit this legislation, and also measures related to gag orders so that the public can be as informed as possible. It should be incredibly rare in the United States that people are not allowed to speak freely about the government's actions. I look forward to today's discussion, and frankly, like the chairman said, I'm optimistic about an opportunity to work with our colleagues on the other side to make some improvement in all these areas. With that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Thank you, Mr. Jordan.